What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we kick off our Bard series with the first subclass, and it is the College of Dance. This is a brand new addition to the 2024 rules, and I am excited to dig into yet some more new and exciting content. Now, before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, share the video with your friends, and of course click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. Now, this is a really interesting idea, right? We talked about this last week when we talked about the Bard in general and kind of what the changes were there. I'll leave that up in the icon above to check that out if you want to know what the Bard does. But essentially, there were a couple of things that changed when it comes to how Bardic Inspiration works. Namely, it is now that both sight or being able to hear will work for Bardic Inspiration. So now, of course, you don't have to say a word. You do a little dance, now your Bardic Inspiration will go off in that way, which is pretty cool. And so they take that a little bit further and kind of do a monk / bard type of thing with this. It's very interesting, so let's see if it's any good. Starting off at level 3, we get Dazzling Footwork, and this comes with a bunch of different stuff. So this works like a couple of different things. This works mainly, what comes to mind to me is the Blade Singer, in which you get a bunch of stuff as long as you aren't wearing armor or carrying a shield. And so here are those benefits. Number 1, we get Dance Virtuoso, so we get advantage on any performance checks that we make that are involving dance. We get Unarmored Defense, which is really cool, and it's based on our Charisma modifier. Possibly one of the best versions of Unarmored Defense that's out there, to be honest. We get Agile Strikes, so whenever we expend a use of our Bardic Inspiration as part of an action, bonus action, or reaction, we can make one unarmed strike as part of that action, reaction, or bonus action. And finally, Bardic Damage. We can use our Dexterity instead of Strength for making our unarmed strikes. This is very similar to how the Monk works with its martial arts, and we, of course, can use our Bardic Inspiration die for the damage rather than how a normal unarmed strike would work. This is very interesting. So we have an unarmed striking bard that essentially, as part of the dance, you are smacking someone or kicking him in the face or something like that. Pretty interesting, right? Now, one thing I will say is very confusing here is the way that Agile Strikes is worded. Is it says that when you expend a use of Bardic Inspiration. However, it's a little fuzzy on how that works. Expending the use technically is not when it is given to an ally. Technically speaking, this is when it is actually used by the ally. Weird wording. However, rules as intended, the way that I see this is it is actually when you give this to an ally. So it's a little confusing there. I don't like how it's worded. Personal thing. But to me, the way that I see this is when you use it and give it to another player, that is when this goes off. And then you can now make an unarmed strike with that whenever we have used that. This is a very interesting thing. Of course, there are other ways that you can use your Bardic Inspiration to make this go off, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And that's really where I think this is trying to use it, but it gets confusing with just the normal way we use Bardic Inspiration. But oh well. But either way, this is really cool. We get a really good version of Unarmored Defense, and we're not going to be wearing armor anyway, so that's great. We get advantage on performance checks. That's fantastic. So we're going to basically have that all the time. Love that. And then, of course, our Bardic Damage changes how our unarmed strikes work in order to make it work kind of like monks with their martial arts die. We now have the die that scales with our Bardic Inspiration. Overall, that's really cool, and it creates a really nice base that we can build everything off of. Honestly, I see all of this here, equating to an 8 out of 10. For a third level feature, it's really nice. I think it's going to set us up for some really cool stuff as we go forward, and I'm excited to see where we go. At level 6, we get a couple of features, and the first is inspiring movement. So this is a very interesting way to add a little bit of mobility. So with this, whenever we have an enemy and its turn within 5 feet of us, we can actually expend one of our Bardic Inspiration die and move up to half our speed for free, which is really cool. It costs a reaction, of course, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Then we can also then choose a creature that is an ally to us within 30 feet of us and give that same benefit to our ally. And of course, all movement involved here does not provoke opportunity attacks. So first of all, we do have a little bit of synergy here with Agile Strikes because we just expended a use of the Bardic Inspiration die in order to make this work. To me, this is another feature that is very clunkily written, and the reason is because of how it looked in the UA. Originally, this was very strange and was really bad, honestly, because this only happened when an ally of yours had someone enter its range, which meant that Agile Strikes didn't work with it necessarily. Really bad. And then you had to like roll the Bardic Inspiration die, and the ally was able to move 5 times what you rolled on the Bardic. It was super strange, super strange. This is definitely better and makes a lot more sense and is a lot easier to figure out what's going on. But yeah, so this works with Agile Strikes. When someone ends its turn within 5 feet of you, you get to make that Agile Strike, and then you get to run away, right? You get to do a cartwheel or a backflip or something and you know, kick somebody or punch them or whatever it is that you want to do, whatever dance move you're working on at the time. It's not bad. It's not bad. It does not blow me away, especially because we don't have any kind of way of dealing crazy amounts of damage, but it definitely can get you into a more advantageous position. You obviously are trying to be a melee bard, so I'm not sure why we're trying to get out of it necessarily, but either way, we get to punch somebody and walk away. Ultimately, it's not a terrible thing. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I'm not as impressed with this feature as I was with the level 3 feature, but either way, it's not horrible. Level 6 also grants us tandem footwork, and this is a really interesting way of boosting initiative. So whenever we do roll initiative, we can choose to expend one of our Bardic Inspiration die and add that to our initiative or our allies' initiatives, any number of creatures that we want within 60 feet of us, up to our charisma modifier number of creatures. Really cool. Really, really good boost. I'm loving that. That's really good. Now, here's the thing, is that this helps with our initiative because we no longer get to add Jack of all trades to our initiative. That's one nerf that came with the new Bard, unfortunately, is that you don't get to add that just because of how ability modifiers and all of that with which we lack proficiency and all that good stuff. It's a very specific wording, and so it makes it ineligible, but either way, this is still really, really good. You get to give a hopefully decent boost to initiative to most, if not all, of your party, which is great. So at this point, hopefully that's 4 people total, which is going to be, most parties are going to fall into probably the 4 or 5 range, unless you're just crazy and like me and go larger. But still, this is great, and that's going to cover a lot of people. I think this is a 9 out of 10. I think this is a very strong feature. I love having it around. Definitely a fantastic addition. Finally, at level 14, we get leading evasion, and this is just the evasion feature from the rogue. It's the exact same thing. One thing I want to note is that back in the UA, this actually used to be a level 6 feature, and then you got something called Irresistible Dance at level 14, which gave you Otto's Irresistible Dance with some extra benefits and that kind of thing. Which is interesting that they decided to take that away in favor of evasion coming online super, super late at level 14. Evasion's great, don't get me wrong. I love evasion. It's a very strong feature. There are plenty of things that come out of this that are great, but here's the thing. You've been taking fireballs for almost 10 levels at this point, probably. your enemies have had fireballs and other similar spells that force these dexterity saving throws for a really, really long time, and you're just now getting this benefit. It's really late. It's really, really, really late. So I don't like that this waits until level 14 for something like this. I would rather get something so much stronger at this level. So ultimately, because it's so late, I've got to give this a 7 out of 10. It's still good. It's still strong. But man, it is way too late. So what do we think of the College of Dance Bard? Okay, this might be an unpopular opinion, and it's just because this is new and all of this, but I think the flavor's there. I think the power is not. I don't think that this is all that amazing of a subclass. I think it's okay. I think it's perfectly meh. But there are a couple of things that I take issue with, right? We start off really strong, I think, at level 3. I think we have some really good stuff. I think the fact that we get tandem footwork at level 6 is also really strong. From there, we start to fall off, though, because inspiring movement ultimately is not the best thing out there. Yes, we get to make an unarmed strike and then run away, but we don't have any kind of crazy bonuses. We're not having any kind of amazing ways to make this into a grappler like the monk does. We're not really even going to be helped all that much by like Tavern Brawler even. Like we can do Crusher stuff, but we can't really do the grappler stuff. We can't really do the Tavern Brawler stuff. Like this just doesn't work as well as what I would like it to. And the biggest issue I have with this is that we don't get extra attack. We don't get extra attack on a creature that is focused on unarmed strikes. That is a crime. That is horrible. That really, really holds this back. And so it's not even so much as what is here, it's what is missing, right? I know that, of course, the Valor Bard gets extra attack and all this stuff, and that's probably why they didn't give that to this thing. But man, it makes this thing look so bad in comparison. It makes the Valor Bard look so much better than this because we're focusing on something that just is not very well supported. Ultimately, I don't think this sucks. I think that there is a lot of really good stuff. I think your AC is going to be really good because it's your dexterity plus your charisma. Both of those stats need to be pretty good here, which is great. I think that the Agile Strikes is nice. Being able to add an extra little punch here and there is okay, right? The Inspiring Movement is nice. Can definitely get yourself and possibly an ally out of a sticky situation. Tandem Footwork is great, and Evasion comes online super, super late. So to me, I can't give this any more than a 7 out of 10 total. I think it's okay. I think it is like barely passable in my opinion. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's fantastic. I definitely could see it being a little bit better, but ultimately it does pass, and so we are going to be building one later this week, so make sure to watch out for that. Week 3 of KPL is going to be coming out on Friday as well, so make sure to watch out for that. And so yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and rest of your week. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.